Public Service Day all over the world is celebrated on June 23rd of every year, following the declaration of the General Assembly of the United Nations. The day is meant to celebrate the values and virtues of public service to society and to recognize the valuable contribution of public servants in the governance process of any state or nation. In Ogun State, the government of Prince Dapo Abiodun graciously approved a series of activities to commemorate 2023 Public Service Day. The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, represented by his deputy, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, at a lecture organized for public servants at the Obas Complex in Okemosan, Abeokuta, says his administration considers the civil servants as important partners in progress, whose welfare and well-being is sacrosanct.
Indeed, the public service remains one of the avenues where integrity is earned and legacies achieved through committed and dedicated spirit of service to the people. To me personally, a day like this in the history of Public Service Day celebration in Ogun State always affords me the time to reflect on the proud legacies which notable sons and daughters of Ogun State have left through the public service. I always marvel at the exploits and legacy that our leaders like Chief Simeon Adebo and Chief A.A.K. Dagun, to mention but a few, have carved for themselves as heroes of Ogun State public service. Not that alone, these heroes and icons have made Ogun State public service an envy of its contemporaries. And in a similar manner, they are worthy inheritors from the creation of the state to date, with our present head of service, Mr. Kolawale Fagbemi, have continued without compromise to keep the flag flying.
Governor Abiodun applauded the harmonious work relationship that has continued to exist between the government and the workforce.
I therefore reiterate the continued commitment of our administration to celebrating the Public Service Day annually as an opportunity to appreciate our public servants for their professionalism and dedication. Their selfless service has been identified with the successful implementation of the Building Our Future Together agenda in the last 4 years, and this has largely contributed into the continued development of our dear state and creating more individual prosperity for the people of Ogun State. In truth, the public service is the engine room of any administration, as we could not have recorded so many success stories without the ever-ready input of our committed, dedicated, hardworking, and reliable workforce. Judging from the experience of the first term of our administration, the state's civil and public servants have demonstrated a high level of professionalism in the discharge of their duties, thereby justifying the trust and confidence reposed in them.
It charged the public servants to be more dedicated and committed in the discharge of their duties.
This year's theme is also a reflection of collaboration and a joint task of shared responsibility, considering the relevance of public servants in the development process. However, our learning from this same thing will no less ginger us all to wake up to our respective duties and responsibilities for increased productivity in service delivery to the people.
The good news came when the governor demonstrated his administration commitment to workers' welfare.
This government sets up a subcommittee on this regard, headed by the deputy governor, and had public servants and the labor unions. The committee has submitted its report, and the government's position will be announced shortly. Amongst other welfare things, the payment of March and April leave bonuses have been approved, and the release. We have also approved the release of the 2021 and 2022 promotion exercises.
Speaking at the Public Service Day lecture titled Building Trust Through Service Delivery, the pivotal role of the public service, a former head of service in Oyo State, Mr. Tajuddin Olasunkami Aremu, advised the civil servants to brace and shake up necessary bureaucratic bottlenecks that may hinder them from delivering effective service.
The topic of the day is building trust through service delivery. Trust is not something you can build in a day. It's through regular, consistent happenings. Integrity is not something you can build in a day. In every service that you deliver, make sure you are diligent. Make sure you are honest with it and do it diligently. These are the things that will earn you the necessary respect, and these are the things that the veterans of those days, these are the things they did. Civil service has to brace up and shake up unnecessary bureaucratic bottlenecks that may continue to hinder effective service delivery and trust in the ability of the system.
Tajuddin noted that the civil service is the most central among offices, units, departments, agencies, and parastatals that make up the body of government officials.
Maintaining integrity of the civil service and the personal integrity of officers is very important. Okay. Excuse me. It's necessary for us. Please, I'm appealing to you this time around. Let us maintain the integrity of the civil service. Let us try to maintain the integrity of the civil service. With all the inadequacies, whatever, if there are, or shortcomings of the civil service, when somebody commits an offense and is taken to court, and they say they want somebody to, or they want him to bring somebody to bail him, they will not ask for the managing director of First Bank. The court will not accept it. The court will not accept even the governor of Central Bank. The court will say, go and get a paper from a civil servant, not below GL 14, which demonstrates, which illustrates that the judiciary and the society still has confidence in the civil service. By the time we allow this one to slip off our hands, everything is finished about the civil service. That is where integrity. Let us keep the integrity.
The guest lecturer, however, took time to explain the key words in the topic of discourse for clarity.
In simple terms, trust can be defined as confidence or belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of someone or something or organization or government. Trust is built around the confidence you have in something or the dependability you have found in an individual or an object or government. Trust takes time. It takes time before you trust somebody. You would have been looking at that person for a long time, seeing what he's doing, because it is based on what has been going on consistently for a long time. Now, we are talking about trust here. We want to build trust through service delivery. Let me give you an example of trust through service delivery in the civil service. One of the legends in the old Oyo State, who served with the likes of Papa V.B. Odunton, Papa Adegun, and others, colleagues with them, was Mama Tejumade Alakija. When Mama Alakija was head of service, that's when I was sworn in as administrative officer on level 8. And I was always helping her to carry her bag to any meeting, because I will be the one taking the minutes. We just say, yes, smart boy, take that bag. God bless you. Because I was always well dressed, Mama will ask me to follow her. And by the time I became the head of service, Mama died. She had retired long time ago. You know, she was head of service at the time I was AS on level 8. And we had to be going about. We came to Abeokuta to collect tributes from Papa Degu, with whom they worked together. Then we received one tribute from Chief Bayo Akinola. Some of the elderly ones here, we know the person I'm talking about. That was the Lisa of Ondo. Chief Bayo Akinola was the commissioner in the Ministry of Agric, where Mama Alakija was the permanent secretary there. And what did Bayo Akinola say as tribute to Mama when Mama died? Chief Bayo Akinola said, that was a permanent secretary, that was a civil servant, that any memo coming from her, any paper coming from her, I can close my eyes and append the signature of approval.
Mr. Aremu submitted that any human endeavor that is devoid of ethics will be regarded as worthless.
You have to be anonymous. The moment you are trying to show yourself that you are the one who did this, who did that, you are calling for wahala between you and the political class. Because you are not the person they voted for. It's the political class that they voted for. And your own work is that you are just being paid your salary, you are doing your work. What's the next one? Impartiality. Impartiality, you do your work without any partiality. Those are the ethics of the civil service. Objectivity, you make sure you are as much as possible. I wish I had the time, I would have given you examples and ample examples of all this. Then confidentiality. Don't go to the beer parlor to discuss government secrets. It has to be confidential. So those are the ethics of the civil service. Go and brush over it. Whichever we don't have the time today, I would have explained it to you. If you are able to follow all this, you will be respected.
He advised the public servants to render total quality service that is accompanied with integrity.
The total quality service principle. I don't know if many people have gone for training on total quality. The principle is that by the time a memo or a paper leaves your table, you would have been satisfied in yourself that everything humanly possible has been written on this issue, and that even if they take this thing to US, they will uphold what I've written. That is total quality. You are so sure you have done an in-depth research. Impacting on your subordinate officers for quality service and integrity. Don't be the officer, be a model. That's just simple. Be a model to your subordinate officers, particularly in the areas of integrity.
Earlier in his address, the head of service, Mr. Kola Peter Fagbon, appreciated the governor of the state for his support and effort at taking care of the workers.
The Public Service Day in Ogun State, just like other states of the Federation and what at large, is celebrated on June 23rd of every year, following the declaration of General Assembly of the United Nations on 28 December 2002 at the Public Service Day. In Ogun State, the day is meant to celebrate the values and virtues of public service to society and to recognize the valuable contributions of public servants in governance process of our dear state and by extension the nation. In this regard, it gives me great pleasure therefore to express my sincere appreciation to His Excellency, a worker-friendly and a purposeful-driven governor, for his gracious approval of this year's Public Service Day celebration.
Analyzing the lecture, Mr. Fagbon says, trust is the oil that lubricates the engine of any relationship, which in governance is considered an essential element.
Trust is like oil that lubricates the engine of any relationship. And in governance, It is considered to be an extremely essential element that enables concerned stakeholders to bond in the process of bringing to birth the social goods for which people put the government in place. In public service, it is that element that enables public servants to serve seamlessly at that proverbial engine room of the government, the absence of which would make the engine falter, stall, or unable to fire optimally. Thus, today's topic is considered apt and relevant at the time the present administration of the state is just starting a new term.
During the Know Your Health Status program organized earlier, the civil servants were subjected to a series of medical tests and drugs were prescribed and given to those who needed it. At the program, the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, urged the civil servant to key into the state health insurance scheme to be healthy and alive.
First one is because we're talking about our health. A lot of us take so many things for granted. In civil service, there are some things that cannot be made compulsory. Ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́ bá wo iye tí wọ́n ní kó máa san between 500 and 1,000 naira a month. Ẹni tó bá tẹ̀ ní malaria kan, gbogbo owó tó máa san ní oṣù mẹ́fà ọdún kan á ti gba kẹ́lọ̀ má jẹ́ kárí láburú kan o. Tí nǹkan kékeré bá ṣẹlẹ̀, ẹ rí ní iwájú ọ̀dọ̀ gómìnà ńbẹ̀ yẹn. Ojoojúmọ́ mo máa rẹ́ni tó máa wá bá ẹ lọ́nà pé ọmọ mi ó ṣe báyìí eléyìí o sì ìdájí yẹn o tàbádọ̀ wọ́n ṣèwádìí àrífẹ́ mi ní àwọn fẹ́ fi gbowó ni ṣùgbọ́n ìlú wọn ò máa fẹ́ kẹ́ tún lọ tún that health insurance ní wò torí àǹfààní tó wà ń bẹ pọ̀ especially sí tí nǹkan ti ń wọ́n ẹni tí ò bá sí lórí kinní yẹn èló ní 12,000 lóṣù jẹ́ tí ọlọ́mọ yẹn kárí wa tí lọ́dún èló ní 12,000 lọ́dún ọlọ́mọ yẹn kárí nǹkan tí ò dáa ẹlòmíì lásán ó lè fẹsẹ̀ lọ wọ́n dẹ̀ wá ní kò sí condition tó nílẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ tí wọn ò ní gbà yẹn síbẹ̀ ṣé ẹlòmíì gan-an kan tiẹ̀ tó débẹ̀ iye tó máa gbà lọ́wọ́ kí ni ó ti ju 12,000 yẹn lọ padà ṣe ń dàgbà sí ni ara ń fẹ́ àjò sí o.
A consultant at the State Hospital Ijayi Abeokuta, Dr. Olufisayo Otunaya, gave the health talk.
I want to make special references to some of these diseases which are highly preventable. I'll be dwelling on some of them, and as you know, some of these diseases that we can avert, prevent, and control in order to ensure that there is improvement in our health indices, individually and as a country. Some of these diseases include hypertension, diabetes, cancer, kidney diseases, and the infectious ones, HIV and TB. Today we have had the opportunity of being screened for some of these diseases. Our weight has been taken, blood pressure, blood sugar, etc. And we have the opportunity of seeing the doctor. Hypertension is so important because it's a silent killer, just like diabetes. Like HIV, you know they show for face. You cannot know whether I have hypertension or not, or diabetes. That means we are left to screening. Everybody has to do regular screening. There's what we will refer to as annual screening. And if you are suspected, then you have to do more frequent screening. Screening is different from follow-up. Many of us have been identified to have diabetes, hypertension, and we have defaulted from treatment. And this gives the space for complications to come in. So if you already have the disease, it can be controlled.
Hear what senior civil servants and other well-wishers have to say about the Civil Service Day.
And also to hear a good thing from our governor, which has to do with the life and the welfare of the civil servants in Ogun State. So we shall continue to appreciate His Excellency for his efforts on the welfare of the civil servants in Ogun State, and also commend our worker-friendly head of service, Mr. Kolawole Peter Fagbohun, for his efforts so far on civil servants in Ogun State.
Like a dog boy. So it's a time of excitement. We gather together, we make fun, especially on the side of checking our health status. It makes us to know our health status. So by so doing, we know what to do to maintain our health so that we can perform well for better productivity.
We want to energize our public servants, the civil servants, to be more active to their job and to get involved in other activities. Apart from the actual job, they should get involved in other activities. Well, we were involved in the health, know your health, and the civil servants should be able to try and know their health and to improve their health, because health is wealth.
Civil Service Day is very, very crucial. Don't forget that democracy and good governance are built on a solid foundation of competent civil service. And whether we like it or not, the virtues and values of the service is being celebrated today. And this is a call to service. And I want to enjoin our civil service to dedicate themselves to greater service.
The implication is to create awareness for the general public that there is the public service, and to also remind the civil servants that their major purpose of being in the service is to be able to serve the people. So they are to work in consonance with the government to ensure service delivery and to ensure that the people are served, that the lives of the people, of the general populace, are made better than they.
It allows the officers currently in service to see where we are coming from, what we are currently doing, and what we can do to improve the service delivery of the civil service of Ogun State in the nearest future.
The day was rounded up by a novelty match between the male in the mainstream and their counterparts in the government parastatals, as well as female teams, which was kicked off by the head of service, Mr. Kola Peter Fagbohun. For public service to play its pivotal roles effectively, it must build trust through quality service delivery, blended with ethical considerations and accountability to make people trust in the ability of the system. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn, àjọṣe wa ni.